All right.
Fucking Christ.
Rejoice, everyone. We're back with another episode of Sekhie Reacts to Fate.
I promise you, this is not alcoholic. It may not be for a while.
Any tension you hear in Sekhie's voice is not caused by alcohol. It is caused by Vorn.
Nothing in my life is going to be caused by alcohol until I've edited that video and I can forget the noises of myself aggressively vomiting.
Well, I guess we should get started here. We have Nitocris, and then we have a little bit of a thing on Medjed as well, so I thought I'd let Sekhie say her fill of that.
Not that I have much to say, but I did find some interesting stuff. Today will not be a Sekhie book report, simply because I don't have a book entirely on Nitocris, because no one's ever written a book about someone who we know so little on. However, she does appear in both my Chronicle of the Pharaohs and my Chronicle of the Queens of Egypt, as well as my History of Egypt by Toby Wilkinson, who is a well-regarded modern Egyptologist. Which I will not pull up on screen because it's in a stack of books over there, and I consulted it and then I put it away because I didn't want my library to be messed up.
The important things.
Well, any more than it already is messed up by the fact that I just exist in this space and fuck with shit. So, let's start off with who we're talking about, because there is some ambiguity as to who you might be referring to when you say Nitocris. Now, I assume, based on the Wikipedia page you've pulled up, that we are talking about the Old Kingdom Queen, Nitocris. However, that's not the only Nitocris in history, and several have been associated together. So I thought I'd just do a little brief overview about the other two notable mentions of Nitocris in ancient Near Eastern history. So there are several women in ancient Near Eastern history who claim the name of Nitocris. Most of the primary sources of these records are not contemporary to any of their ascribed lifetimes. Herodotus, Manetho, Eratosthenes of Cyrene, and Flavius Josephus, all living long after the events and people they record, mention her name. It also appears in the Turin King's List papyri and possibly the Abydos King's List papyri. So, Nitocris of Babylon, circa 550 BCE. Herodotus wrote of two queens of Babylon, Semiramis and Nitocris. And I listed this one because I know that Semiramis is a fake character, so I was like, I couldn't not be sure that we weren't maybe accidentally talking about the Babylonian Nitocris or something. So he writes of her involvement in building projects and of an interaction with Darius I, the king who led the first and second invasions of Greece, fighting at Marathon and Thermopylae, facing Leonidas, who we covered earlier this year. And he says that she planned her tomb above the gate so that no Persians could pass through, and lured Darius there by a mysterious inscription meant to attract greedy kings. Here she's also attributed as the mother of the final Neo-Babylonian ruler Belshazzar, and potentially a daughter of Nebuchadnezzar II, according to some scholars. So then there is Nitocris, daughter of Psammetichus, circa 660 to 584 BCE. So this is back in Egypt. This account comes from the period where Egypt was essentially a client kingdom under the Assyrian Empire. When the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal withdrew his main control from Egypt, Psammetichus founded the 26th dynasty and sought to consolidate Egypt and wrest control from Nubia in the south and Assyria to the northeast. He had his daughter Nitocris adopted by the high priestess Shepenipet II of Thebes, who was the god's wife of Amun in 656 BCE, so that she would succeed her into this role as god's wife of Amun, which was an important religious role for the people living in southern Egypt, which had been previously controlled by Nubia for a while. Nitocris would hold this position for 70 years, anchoring the control of the south under the dynasty that her father started. This would spark a tradition wherein she would adopt Anknes-Neferibray, the daughter of Psammetichus II, to succeed her, who would in turn adopt Nitocris II, the last of her dynasty, who held the post until the Persians seized control and annexed Egypt in 526 BCE. So those are the other two notable mentions of a Nitocris in history. I presume we're not talking about either of those?
No.
So we are then talking about Nitocris Nitocreti, the last monarch of the 6th dynasty and the Old Kingdom of Egypt, circa 2184 to 2181 BCE. So the only the only story we have about Nitocris comes from Herodotus' histories, which I've referenced before for the Leonidas video. They're up on my shelf. And Herodotus in Book 2, Chapter 100 said, "In all these many generations, there were 18 Ethiopian kings and one queen native to the country. The rest were all Egyptian men. The name of the queen was the same as that of the Babylonian princess Nitocris. She, to avenge her brother, the king of Egypt, slain by his people, who then gave Nitocris sovereignty, put many of the Egyptians to death by treachery. She built a spacious underground chamber. Then, with the pretense of inaugurating it, but with quite another intent in mind, she gave a great feast, inviting to it those Egyptians whom she knew to have had the most complicity in her brother's murder, and while they feasted, she let the river in upon them, the Nile, by a vast secret channel. This was all the priests told of her, except that when she had done this, she cast herself into a chamber full of hot ashes to escape the vengeance." Manetho, another historian, does not give a story to her name, but calls her braver than any men of her time, credits her with being extremely beautiful, and building the third pyramid. The other primary sources that mention her name, Eratosthenes calls her a queen, not a king, ruling for 6 years from Thebes. Josephus calls her Nikaule and references Herodotus' story, but does not restate it. And Apollodorus of Athens and Syncellus would also cite these older sources as stories of Nitocris. So, did Nitocris, the female pharaoh, last ruler of the 6th dynasty of ancient Egypt, actually exist? So, Pepe II Neferkare reigned for an extremely long time, 94 years according to Egyptian records. Remember, I pulled out that book a while back to prove that I knew exactly what was in every book in my library. Pepe II is technically, up to this point, if we trust the records written of him, the longest reigning sovereign in the world at 94 years. However, there's some confusion. It could have been 64 years. Also, he took the throne as a child, essentially.
Notice when you accidentally flip the 6 upside down.
Yeah. Well, 66 and 9 in Egyptian hieratic cursive are very similar. So, that's genuinely, some people think that they may have accidentally flipped the 6 and the 9.
The more things change over time, the more things stay the same. People confusing 6 and 9.
Yeah, but... So he outlived many of his children and grandchildren during a time when royal power in the Egyptian dynasty was fading. Merenre Nemtiemsaf II succeeded his father as the penultimate pharaoh of the 6th dynasty and the Old Kingdom, and he reigned for 1 year and 1 month. This chronology is listed in both the Turin and Abydos king lists. This is where uncertainty and theories enter the picture. The brother and husband, likely, that Herodotus records Nitocris avenging should be Merenre Netiemsaf II, making her the final ruler of the Old Kingdom and 6th dynasty. However, the Turin king list names Nitikreti, and the Abydos kings list names Netjerkare or Netikeri Sipta as the final ruler who reigned only for a short time. Because of this, many scholars argued that Nitocris was a legend with a misspelling or mistranslation attributed to the damaged papyri that is presented. The Turin papyri is greatly damaged, and it was pieced together later, so there is some doubt as to whether or not it was pieced together correctly and whether or not you're reading exactly what it would have written or if we're missing a piece. So, Egyptologist Percy E. Newberry, 1869 to 1949, had a queen regnant Nitocris argument that to this day is cited by a lot of modern scholars and is good in some ways and not in others, and we're going to cover that. So Newberry published into the Journal of Egyptian Archaeology, Volume 29, why Nitocris existed as a queen regnant of Egypt. Not only is a version of her name listed in 2 separate kings lists, but her tomb is identified at Saqqara, according to him, and her name means Nath is excellent, and Nath appears on a tomb of one of Pepe II's queens. Manetho's pyramid comment does not necessarily mean the third pyramid at Giza, which most people assumed and dismissed because the third pyramid at Giza was created by Menkaure, but could have been the third pyramid created at Saqqara. And according to what Newberry knew at the time, the third pyramid created at Saqqara was that of Queen Nath. And further, he theorizes that her prenomen could have been Menkare, and so she could have been Menkare Netiquiti or Menkare Nath, confused with Menkaure in Egyptian. He says that she could have been one of the queens of Pepe, who outlived him and his heirs in the end and stepped in to rule, which was not without precedent already in Old Kingdom records, as the wife of Narmer, Neith-Hotep, ruled after his death, and Merenaith ruled as regent for her son Den before he was old enough to become pharaoh. This meshes with Eratosthenes' account, which could have also been translated, instead of as a queen not a king, a wife in place of her husband, which could give credence to a Queen Neith ascribed to Nitocris ruling after the death of her husband, and the succession crisis that he did leave, because Pepe II, outliving most of his sons and grandsons, did create a succession crisis in ancient Egypt at the time. However, this account and theory do not hold well with Herodotus' accounts. Pepe II could not have been the brother she avenged, because he neither died from murder nor of young age. Queen Neith does not fit the dates ascribed to Nitocris. Merenre I was not murdered, nor did he die young, and Egyptologists hold that Neith's tomb was constructed second after Pepe. This is most likely the account. The most likely account then becomes that whether the person be male or female, Nitocris was Netiqueti Sipta, the brother or wife of Merenre Netiemsaf II, and that those two people are one and the same. The recording errors are likely the result of the chaos left behind after the reign and death of Pepe II and the dynastic crisis that occurred when the 6th dynasty ended. The 7th and 8th dynasties are also not well recorded. Merenre II could have been seen as weak in this chaos and been overthrown, with Nitocris, either his strong wife or brother, installed as pharaoh in his place by the people themselves. Modern Egyptologists like Wilkinson, Malek, and Watterson hold that the king's lists weigh more as evidence than Herodotus' stories. There are many rulers from the 7th and 8th dynasties who are no more than names, and we do not dispute them, according to Malek, so why we dispute Nitocris or Netiqueti is kind of a little weird, right? So dispute one but not any of the others. Whether or not the tale of revenge is true, most Egyptologists now accept Nitocris as a historical figure. A lot of some of the doubt as to Nitocris' existence as a female character in Egypt came from these very heavily male Western views. When reading these stories of the king lists and the legend of Herodotus, a lot of men looked at it and said, oh, well, this name is not ascribed to a female queen, and this sounds like a legend, and we have no proof that this legend actually happened. So this obviously didn't ever happen, and this is actually a man who was just misrecorded in the king lists. So that's why, for a long time, a lot of Egyptologists would have dismissed the myths outright, and with it the existence of a female Nitocris, in favor of Netiqueti Sipta, a male pharaoh. Yes, Forn?
Just wondering, if she was to rule, how long would she have ruled?
So her rule was very short. Like I said, we said Merenre Netiemsaf II ruled for a year and a month. Both Netiqueti Sipta and Nitocris are only ascribed to have ruled for 2 years and a few months, because the dynasty then fell into chaos, and then the 7th dynasty would take over. So the length of her reign actually fits with the reign ascribed to the male king that would have been present during this time.
So what you're saying is that Nitocris is a gender bend in fate.
What I'm saying is that we have no certain gender ascribed to this character other than what Herodotus gives us, and his account is most certainly a fable, right? Herodotus records a lot of stories, especially of places he didn't visit and things that happened long before him, that have very little historical provenience, so it's very hard to tell if they're true or not, but it's most likely that the story is falsified, the one that he told. However, the presence of the names on the king lists, with 2 lists having the same approximate ruler length and a similar name that could have easily been confused or misspelled at some point or just rewritten, would give credence to the existence of this king. If we count that any name in the king list that can be corroborated by either another king list or any one other thing listed with their name on it as a real pharaoh, we have to include Netiqueti Sipta or Nitocris as a true pharaoh. We have to. We cannot discount one name because there's a myth that it may be a female, when we don't do that for the next 20 kings or so across the next 2 dynasties of ancient Egypt. I thought I'd include a little fun insert here before we get to the Medjed, but I've mentioned Nath a lot as a name. And the association with her name being Nath is excellent. So Neith is actually one of the oldest deities worshipped from pre-dynastic times to the Ptolemaic. She was a goddess of war and creation who invented birth and acted as one of the funerary goddesses who helped souls, also known as the Terrifying One or the mother or grandmother of the gods. Also known as Nit and a couple other names. So that brings us to the Medjed, which you had me look up. And thanks to a very good friend of mine, Sekhie, I now have a lovely translated and illustrated copy of the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And in it, I have the excerpt that mentions the Medjed, which is, "May I never fall under their instruments of cruelty, for I know their names, and I know the being Machet or Medjed, who is among them in the house of Osiris, shooting rays of light from his eye, but he himself is unseen. He goeth round about heaven, robed in the flame of his mouth, commanding happy, but remaining himself unseen." So Medjed is a minor god mentioned in the Book of the Dead in spell 17 as the Smiter. And he's pretty notable and has been relatively popular in pop culture because of his appearance as what is essentially a sheet ghost with feet and eyes. This is the little put a sheet on your child and cut out eyes, and you got the fucking.
Make sure your child's head's not too pointy.
Yeah, yeah. So that is what I have on Nitocris and Medjed.
Cool.
Now, I do want to clarify to the viewers that I have seen Nitocris's design. I do know what Nitocris looks like. I have seen at least the base form before.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any more than the base form, but Knick-Knack informs me I have pulled her in campaign. I don't remember.
Not campaign, when you had FGO on your phone for a little.
Knick-Knack informs me I pulled them on my phone. However, I know them because their figures are often sold with the Ramesses figures, the Ozymandias figures, and a few times when I was looking up Ozymandias, I came across figures of Nitocris.
It also probably doesn't help that when we pull up the Wikipedia page,
Nitocris is the first thing that pops up in the images bar. Yeah. So even if I hadn't seen her, I couldn't have looked for Nitocris without getting that.
Do you know what her class might be?
I do not know what her class is. I did not.
Any
I may
guesses?
have read it at some point, but I really don't give a shit. I know she's not going to be a ruler because I typically associate the rulers with a lot more historical providence and kind of stuff sitting behind them.
Historical providence. Sherlock Holmes is a fucking ruler.
Look, fuck off. Or literary providence. And Nitocris has neither, to be honest. I don't think she would be any sort of warrior class because, I mean, I suppose because the one story we have of her is this story of revenge, but it's not revenge in like a long drawn out battle. It's a trap, you know, a trap that she organizes. So I suppose I'd have to guess caster because I just don't see her being, you know, I mean, I suppose the only other thing I could make an argument for is if you take Herodotus' story, I could make an argument for fucking Berserker for the fact that she basically murdered a shit ton of people in retribution for her. I guess Avenger, yeah. Berserker or Avenger.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
So you are right, it is a caster. And you have seen her design before.
I have, and I gotta admit, I like it. I like her design a lot. I like the little, the ears and the staff and
I'm glad to hear that we're not going to be emaciated in the comments because she is one of the more popular servant designs in Fate.
I do like her. I think she could do with a little bit more clothing, but you know, sometimes you just gotta. Yeah, I like that more, and I like that even more. Yeah, so you know. Yes, I see that, but she's hot. Cute.
She has an idol outfit.
Oh, very cute. That's adorable.
Let me see if let me pull up her sprites here. Oh yeah, first I guess we gotta.
So cute. Look at the wide little eyes.
Different sprites of her forms here. Mm-hmm. And that's what her idol outfit looks like more laid
Aw,
out.
that's cute. Yeah, that's really cute.
So, what up?
No, I like it a lot. It's also a much what's the word? This is a much better portrayal of the skin color of someone who would have been living in the ancient Near East than perhaps, what was it, Karna? Or Arjuna?
Karna, who was literally the pastiest motherfucker alive.
Well, and then black. Like dark black in skin
Yeah.
color. Yeah. Which, I mean, Tamil, Dravidian, Aryan, I get it, but like, or Caster of the Nightless, said Scheherazade.
Yeah.
Oof. Scheherazade was bad. This is like a better version of Scheherazade. Like, this is the amount of horny I would have accepted for Scheherazade.
I think Scheherazade's a little weird, but that's getting back into Scheherazade.
Yeah.
We're talking about Nitocris today. So, yeah. Nitocris here, personality-wise, she has a bit of a short temper. As you would imagine from the Herodotus story.
Yeah, no, you killed my brother. I'm going to murder all of you. Was it, hello, my name is Nitocris. You killed my brother. Prepare to die. The Inigo Montoya.
So I can't remember if this was something I found when I did research on her as a historical figure or her in Fate. But I believe at least Fate identifies that she, during her life, was largely used as a puppet ruler.
That has no historical provenience.
Yeah.
In fact, all historical evidence would lean towards her being entirely of her own will and being, just ruling from an empire that had already ruling from a position of a dynasty that was already falling in power.
Yeah, that I think Fate plays into that aspect where since the dynasty's falling in power, that's where it comes into the like, you guys killed my brother, you guys are you're ruining this place, I'm going to kill you. Yeah,
I mean, like I said, there's no historical precedent for that. Not in the way that the story is told, because like I said, Herodotus' story is the only one that lists that, and even then he doesn't list her as a puppet ruler, and Manetho calls her stronger than any man of her time, like specifically. And the fact that he attributes a pyramid to her. Pyramids require an intense amount of pharaonic power to build, because you have to be able to commandeer the manpower and time, and we know now that a lot of pyramids were worked on by skilled laborers and farmers who were paid, not just slaves. So the building of a pyramid is something that would signify power, regardless. Like her own power, not someone else's. But I can see where Fate might be taking the Herodotuses and running with it, since it's the only real story we have of her, since no one else gives any tales of her life.
As far as like how she views herself, she definitely views herself as amongst the pharaohs. Even though she views herself as, or even though she knows she was being used as a puppet ruler, she views herself as just as legitimate of a pharaoh as any other pharaoh. And she views like Egypt as her kingdom that she needs to reign in.
No, by descendancy, she would be. The pharaohs were more of a divine lineage than anything else. So it wouldn't really matter if she was put in power by someone else or herself. She's still the divine ruler of Egypt.
And that's why she holds a great reverence for that position, to the point where you see in Fate she's following around Ozymandias as the king of kings.
Which is really funny, because they're separated by about a long time. They're separated by a long time in history.
Yeah, well, she really, even though Ozymandias obviously has that really high stature amongst the pharaohs by his own titles,
King of Kings.
You do. Apparently, she also does hold. If Ozymandias weren't there, she could just as easily be following around Iskandar or Cleopatra,
which would make sense.
Let's see here. Her wish for the Grail is that she wishes that her brother would have got. Or she wishes for her brother to be able to live peacefully in the eternal paradise, the Field of Reeds, right?
Yes.
She doesn't doubt that he made it there at all, but she doesn't know for sure, so her wish is to be certain.
That would make sense. By all accounts, her brother was not her theoretical brother and possibly husband, Merenre Netiemsef, was not a bad ruler, But he was old already when he took the throne, and since he'd succeeded his father, who had reigned for so long, and he was once again the last dregs of power of the dynasty. He was already old. It was hard to really seize control when you take control as an old man.
And I don't know where specifically it does, but Fate also mentions that she's often mistaken for the queen of Assyria.
Yeah, the Babylonian.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the queen of Assyria specifically?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because so the Babylonian princess, Neo-Babylonian princess, was named Nitocris. The Assyrian would be a reference to Nitocris of Thebes, the Egyptian god's wife of Amun. And she was not technically a queen at all. I mean, she was the daughter of the king, but God's wife of Amun is the title of the high priestess of Thebes and the temple at the time. So that feels almost like they're confusing both of those, you know? Because the Babylonian princess is the one I mentioned with Semiramis, but that's not Assyrian, totally different empires.
Go ahead and scroll through here, see if you catch anything here.
6th dynasty. See, same name as the ancient queen of Babylon.
Babylon.
Babylon, yeah. The Assyrian is... Maybe because I mentioned Assyrian last.
I have it here in my notes. I don't know why the fuck I have it in my notes then.
Well, then I'm very fascinated to where you got it from, because that is correct, the Babylon bit. Yeah, the Nile River, Herodotus' histories. Interesting.
Do its next drawer. We'll see that later, I guess.
We'll see a lot of them.
Here, this might be an interesting section for you.
Yeah, Darius the Third. Oh, there's your Assyria. Queen Nitocris of Assyria. So that's another separate character I didn't mention. Yeah.
So
There's Ozymandias. Yeah, Scheherazade.
And then I'm going to skip over this because that's all story shit.
Story lore. That
we'll
thing
get to that
I don't
later.
Know. Okay, abilities.
All right, so yeah.
All right. So as a mage, she's got territory and item construction. Obviously, all of their mages have that. Divinity, because she's a pharaoh. You know, the child
all
of
pharaohs are
divine.
Some divine descendancy. In this case, they say Horus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see here. I got any notes on that? I guess you're reading it there too, so.
Yeah. That being the case, they exist more as a god than as a ruler.
So so it says down here, her specialty as a caster is she knows Egyptian necromancy.
Which would make sense with the Book of the Dead and the mentioning of the Medjed, since you had me look up the Medjed.
Yeah, we'll get into that later.
Yeah, like I said, spell 17. And then high-speed divine words. Okay. Affection of the sky god. Yeah.
And then her noble phantasm here. You want to pronounce that for me?
Anpunebta Jesser?
Yes, so...
Jesser is a name I know. I did not look that up, but it is a name I've definitely heard of.
Well, let me go and just click into here. Just ignore the animation up here.
Yeah. Okay, so it's a mirror to the underworld?
It's
the
a mirror in the shape of Anubis, or with the figure of Anubis there as well.
Oh. Yeah, I was going to say the ears. They're jackal ears, aren't they? Her ears?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is funny because she's associated, like I said, in some of the historical arguments, they associate her with Neith. And Neith was a name that a lot of women held because Neith was a goddess of, one of the funerary goddesses who prepared the soul for its journey.
And that might be where they're grabbing this particular aspect of Nitocris from.
Yeah, because Anubis is also, Anubis guards you on your way to, yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and click here. We got this here.
Yay!
Coming in real quietly.
Big prompts. Yeah, I've got my sound down because I was watching some stuff quietly at night. Didn't want to wake anyone in the house. Nitocris.
This should be your NP here.
Okay.
A little bit of a low frame rate this time.
Oh yeah, there's Anubis. Jackal-headed underworld deity. And the spirits coming from the mirror from the netherworld.
So yeah, that is Nitocris.
It's a pretty cool NP.
Form.
I gotta admit, I appreciate.
So we're not quite done here.
I assumed we weren't.
We got one more form of Nitocris.
Oh, yay. I was kind of worried we'd only have, like, one form because I didn't know how popular Nitocris was. And I was like, I know sometimes that the servants we get to go really long on because they have a ton of forms usually have a ton of history behind them, too. Mm-hmm. And I really struggled when researching to find anything beyond just, like, did she exist or did she not?
So we have a summer form.
Ooh!
And
it's the Medjed.
Meet Summer Nitocris.
Oh.
Assassin class.
Oh. Likely because of the death thing. Could you do me a favor and go back to the other, that one? Yeah, I wanted to see something. Okay, just reading something.
All right, so let's go ahead and look at our different designs here.
I like that underneath the cloak is like the stars in the heavens. Because I can see at the bottom there, it's like the galaxy.
You ready for a summer servant who's more covered up than her original form?
Oh! I actually think it looks really good. I think the simplicity suits her. It's very pretty.
A+.
Yeah. 10 out of 10. Also, wait, go back. She's got either an Eye of Horus or an Eye of Osiris at the neck of her swimsuit.
Enhance.
Well, I mean, it didn't help much, but yeah, no, that's either an Eye of Horus or an Eye of Osiris.
I think that's
Eye of Ra.
Horus.
One's for protection and one's for not protection, and the difference is that they face different ways, and I always get them confused. So no, I can't.
I think that's Horus.
And then we have this.
No, it doesn't make... Well, Vorn, it doesn't make sense for it to be Horus because she's mostly associated with an underworld deity. I would assume it to be Osiris. Okay. That's the assumption I would make because Osiris is an underworld deity, like the king of the underworld, and she's so heavily associated with underworld deities in this telling of her. I would assume it's the Eye of Osiris.
Yep, you are.
Yeah.
I'm checking it. Yep, you are correct.
I like this. This is cute. It's like the same level of covered as her regular sprite.
Yeah, she's one of those servants that aren't very covered to begin with, so like making it, you can't go any other way but more artistic.
Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's pretty. It's simple but pretty.
It seems like a wedding outfit.
Maybe a wedding swimsuit. Yeah.
And then fan service.
Look, I'm 10 out of 10. Look, I fall victim to fan service just like other people do. Yes! That's so fucking cute. I want a plushie of that.
I think one exists.
Ah! I love, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of those, like, single fishnet leg lamps. Because you got, like, the hot legs, but then just, like, ghosty top. I love it. I love it so much. The eyes. The eyes kill me. Yeah. Oh, she's got a little, like, cutout of it?
Mm-hmm.
Or plushie. Oh, wait. It's one of those paddle boards, isn't it?
I believe so.
Yes. Yeah.
And yeah.
Also, I gotta admit, go back to the second sprite. It's detailed enough. You can still see the Eye of Osiris there at the neck of her swimsuit, clearly.
Yep.
But that's, I know how small these are on a fucking phone screen. So, like, they went in deliberately to put that detail. I can feel nothing but like, appreciation for that.
All right, so let's go ahead and move back here. So, she throws on the swimsuit and covers herself in robes, assuming the guise of the Medjed. It's more to hide her embarrassment than anything here.
Okay.
Doing weird stuff with the computer.
Yeah, you were down on settings.
Oops. Yeah, no, she's just trying to hide her embarrassment in her swimsuit.
Yeah, well, I saw that. The embarrassment she felt when she faces the other pharaohs.
Yeah.
Oh, because she acted with insolence to Ozymandias.
That said, so at one point, she comes into possession of a pyramid on loan from Ozymandias. And as well as an artifact.
Which would refer to the Menetheo she built the third pyramid.
And she just completely lost it.
Oh boy.
And convinced herself that she was the god Medjed. It was a truly violent affair.
I mean, I can see so. Like I said, when we read the excerpt about Medjed, he is the smiter. He's called the smiter, and he smites people from unseen places. Which would make sense for an assassin.
Let's see here. As far as abilities go, let you take a look.
Presence concealment. Jesus fucking Christ. Divinity, of course. White imperial garments. Right. Proof of protection. Okay. Beach panic. What's that? Whether it's by... Okay. Strange looks from the public. Royal Road of the Hot Sands, derived from imperial privilege. Oh, possible that she came up with it after seeing Cleopatra's stuff. I cannot wait till we fucking do Cleopatra. I cannot. I'm so fucking excited. Her noble phantasm is... Oh! Sneferu Iteru Nile. That means nothing to you, historically.
The transition. I know what it's in reference to.
Sneferu is a very specific pharaoh who had a pyramid built to him, and I know which pyramid it is.
We're gonna go ahead and move down here if you want to take a look at the description here.
Yeah.
It is similar to a reality marvel, but is not one. It recreates the drowning of her brother's murders spoken of in Greek accounts of her.
Yeah. To those who dare insolently play about the seat of this kingly divine pharaoh, to those who committed the treachery of slaying my beloved siblings, receive death. Yep. That makes sense. That makes sense. Look up Pyramid of Sneferu.
Alright.
For me. There it is. It's the red pyramid, specifically. But I just, since they name it, like, with the specific pharaoh, I knew exactly which pyramid it is. Because there's very few pyramids that are... There's a lot of pyramids, right? You've got the ones at Saqqara. Everyone knows the ones at Giza. But then there's ones like the Bent Pyramid or the Collapsed Pyramid or the Red Pyramid that have their own names. And the reason why this is called the Red Pyramid is the pigment of the rock used to build it. Which is slightly different than...
Would it have been red back when it was first built?
Yeah, that's no, it would have been cased with white limestone, but it was red when it was built. That's the difference. They used red limestone building it rather than like that granite that's used at the pyramids of Giza, right? And so when the white limestone's taken away, you're left with red limestone instead of granite, which gives it a very different appearance.
Because I know a lot of these things don't look at all like they would have back then, and we often associate the old image of them with the current state of them, when in reality they were probably a lot more colorful.
Yeah, and Sneferu is also another Old Kingdom pharaoh, like Nitocris and all that. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, let's show off Nitocris Summers NP.
It's a fucking compact. It's got like a makeup compact. But it's got a mirror in it, so that's pretty interesting. Darkness. Souls of the dead. It's like a mini version of her Mirror of Anubis, the big one. It's just in a beach compact.
I did forget to mention in normal Nitocris, she does get the Medjed to assist her as normal Nitocris as well.
Okay. It's a big Medjed.
I think that was a reference to Ozymandias' animation with the Sphinx.
Yeah. Death to the villainous. Ooh. Yep. That'd do it. Yep. 10 out of 10.
But that's not all.
Oh!
We got an arcade for
yes!
Summers. Not for normal.
But for a I don't care. I love arcades. It's playing. Just
turn that up a bit.
I love arcades. That's such a funny card to look at. Oh, wow. Oh, are we getting a skirt shot? The eyebrows with those eyes. Because the eyes aren't moving, but the eyebrows are. Okay. Ooh, big budget. Oh, that looks so much cooler. I mean, obviously, because you've got more, you know, more put into the animation, but holy shit, does that look good. That looks like a chamber that could have been built by a powerful pharaoh.
Yep. Psych. We're back.
I thought I was done.
I thought I was
done.
Too. I thought I was too. So
Scoobus. A Scoobus.
So guys, in case you didn't know, a little something called Lost Belt 7 happened recently. Not when we released this video, but recently for us. And as part of that, we got another Nitocris, right? Like, literally, I think it was a day after we recorded Nitocris, maybe 2.
Yeah, you, like, messaged me and you were like, sorry.
Fucking shoot me.
Yeah, you were just like, oh, we fucked up. And I was like, we didn't fuck up, fate fucked up. The audacity of them to not have everything ready for us. Because obviously, we're the ones that matter here.
But, you know, since the video wasn't out yet, same as we did for Usha, you know what? We're just gonna get some duct tape and fix that hole.
Duct tape holds the world together.
Yeah.
So, we're doing this, and we're doing it ratchet. I'm reading off my phone because I had a migraine and I didn't write it down. I wrote it in my phone.
Yeah. So, as part of this, this has now become a double servant episode, and now we're including Anubis too.
Yeah, so which I'm actually really excited for. As some of you may know, my name on the channel is Sekhie, and that's a reference to Sekhmet. And while the name comes from a set of D&D characters I once created, it is in homage to the, Egyptian goddess. And I am personally, have done a lot of investigation into the Egyptian Book of the Dead, or the Book of the Great Going Forth, as it's known. And Anubis and sort of the funerary gods and funerary associated gods in Egyptian mythology. They appeal to me more than a lot of the others. So Anubis is one that I was already very, very familiar with, right? Even before you told me, which is why I wasn't too upset about not, having to do an addition. So Anubis is the god of protector of graves, guide to the underworld, god of funerary rites, which includes the weighing of the heart against the feather of Ma'at on the scales of justice, right? The ceremony that happens when it's decided whether or not you can go to the field of reeds, right? Which is the Egyptian kind of like heavenly afterlife, basically. Or whether you're just basically dissolved into nothingness. So, depending on the time period in Egypt and the cultural center that you are investigating or reading about, his parentage could either be Nephthys and Set, or Osiris, or Ra. It just depends. In the Old Kingdom period, he's often the child of Ra, but in the Middle or New Kingdom, it's often either Nephthys and Set or Osiris. He's got a sibling, Wep-Wawet, who doesn't really matter all that much. And sometimes it has a consort and some offspring, but I assume we're not going to need to talk about that today.
No.
And he does have an equivalent, kind of, in other classical mythologies. But I will say, this is one case where I think that a lot of people would make Hades the equivalent of Anubis, because they're confusing a funerary deity with the god of the underworld, right? Because Hades is not the god of the dead. Hades is the god of the underworld. Something similar is here. Osiris is the god of the underworld and the afterlife. Anubis is the protector of graves, conductor of funerary rites, guide to the underworld. He is not like the god of the dead, but the Egyptians had quite a few funerary gods, or gods associated with the funerary goings-on, because the afterlife was so important for them, as evidenced by the fact that the great book of Going Forth is carved into like every tomb that we know of that has carvings readable, you know. You saw carvings of it. There was recently an Egyptian exhibit near us, and we went, and you saw some of the carvings from the Book of the Dead there, and I've got my own copy here. And we actually touched on it. I pulled up the plate that the Wadjet was mentioned in last time, which was pretty funny. But Anubis is depicted as a jackal-headed god, because jackals are associated with kind of the dead in ancient Egypt. And let's see. So he used to be portrayed with a more full animal form, right? This is back when he was kind of seen as like the son of Ra and that kind of thing. And one of the reasons why he's associated with graves is because jackals and wild dogs are very well known for digging up bodies and graves, which would have been a big problem in kind of the old days. So in his role as embalmer, you'll often see him depicted as the person who is embalming the body. Like he is the one conducting the kind of the anointing of the body and the wrapping and that sort of things in the Book of the Dead. And then he protects the tombs that he's depicted in guarding. He protects not just tombs, but graves and cemeteries, and kind of all things to do with the realm of those that he's guiding to the afterlife. So he's often he's often the patron god of necropolis when they're found, which is pretty interesting. And as a guide to the souls, he performs one of the roles to get souls from like their dying to the weighing of the soul. And then I think the Weigher of Hearts is really where we're going to be dealing a little bit, since I know that we've got Ammit up there as well. But in the ceremony of the weighing of hearts, Anubis is the one who performs the measurement, right? Where the heart of the person is weighed against the feather of Ma'at, or truth, justice. And if your heart is heavier than the feather of Ma'at, you will not go to the field of reeds. And if your heart is lighter than the feather of Ma'at, you will go to the field of reeds. And if your heart is heavier, it is then fed to the Ammit, or Ammit. Which sucks. You don't want to have your eternal soul devoured, permanently removed from any sort of cycle. Anubis doesn't actually appear in a whole lot of things outside of the Book of the Dead, and depicted as the protector of kind of funerary complexes and graves and that sort of thing, which is interesting because a lot of gods have a lot of myths about them that give them power, but it seems as though because Anubis reigns over something that's so important, right? He doesn't need to have a bunch of different myths of him doing random things. He has a job, and he spends his time doing his job, and it's a very important and intensive one, especially to the kind of pantheon and mythology that they have going. So, and then with Ammit, if you want to switch over to that page. So, the Ammit is a devourer of the dead. So Ammit is depicted as, well, you can see on screen, it's got the head of a fucking crocodile, the back end of a hippo, and the forefront of a lion, which is just a terrifying combination. Basically, it was all the things that the Egyptians feared in a lot of ways. I mean, hippos were one of the most dangerous animals in the world. So are crocodiles, and lions are a real threat to people.
Insert Moon Knight clip here, except don't, because it gets copyrighted faster than woof.
Also, you'd also have to save time in the video for me to get thirsty over Ammit, because mommy, it's the crocodile head. It does it for me. Jesus fucking Christ. So Basically, Ammit just kind of sits by the scale as depicted on screen in the Judgment of the Soul from the Hunnifer papyri. And if the fucking heart is impure, it's tossed to her and she gets to eat it. But, you know, she's also known as kind of like ever hungry and typically denoted as female, right? Which is why you also have other versions of her. There are some versions of her that have a little bit more of a anthropomorphic figure, but it's pretty rare. The Moon Knight is the exception, not the rule. But yeah, that's kind of the Ammit and Anubis and the weighing of the heart, which is kind of one of the most important things that we know about Egyptian mythology. You have to, you got to think about the fact that the Book of the Dead is the most important thing that we know and have about Egyptian mythology. In so many ways, a lot of what they did was all kind of like dedicated to this end goal, and it was in other places too. I mean, you know, the Greek heroes wanted to get to the fields of Elysium and so on and so forth, but I mean, the importance of this Book of the Dead is what led people to build pyramids and kind of save all these funerary goods, and there were rules about what the pharaoh could look like once mummified, and you know, the preservation of names in tombs so that they'd be able to go to the afterlife and all that stuff. So it's incredibly important in the context.
I guess
Also, Anubis is a boy.
Yes.
Nitocris is not.
Yes.
Are we gonna have a problem?
Well, let's find out here. But full disclosure, this was not originally supposed to be a mini episode within an episode. Anubis was supposed to originally get his own episode.
Ascubus.
But so to put into like perspective how much longer it would have taken us to get around to Anubis. Anubis is a Fate Requiem character right now, meaning so little on him. Don't even have a class. But we do have a design, so.
Okay.
Meet Anubis.
Oh, look, it's a jackal.
Yeah.
It's a cute jackal.
Yeah.
Very Egyptian looking. I like it. I mean, it looks like the... Oh, shit. I've got a little Anubis. I've got my own little Anubis. It's the same figure. Knick-knack. Just like slightly different jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
I've got my own little Anubis. He's got a chip on his ear from when I brought him back.
That said, since I have so little on him, and given that he hasn't been Fate Grand Orderized yet, and he's not that he hasn't been a huge part of Fate Requiem, but he hasn't been like really fleshed out in Fate Requiem yet, there is a high chance Anubis gets another episode later on where we just do it all again.
Okay.
But I'll go over what we do have at the moment. This Anubis it's not known how he is alive, because when you think about Fate servants, gods and goddesses are not supposed to be it. Like minor gods maybe can, but Anubis is not a minor god.
Yeah, no, Anubis is a pretty major. I mean, to be fair, Anubis is not one of the main pantheon of Egyptian mythology. He is a specialty god, but he's a specialty god that holds a lot of power.
Yeah. It's possible that underneath the jackal there's a person Anubis is inside of.
Oh.
But we don't know that. All we know right now is that he is the villain of Fate Requiem, or he's at least a villain, and he's seeking to kill specific people.
Because they're not pure?
We don't know yet. The problem is we've had 2 books in this series so far, and Anubis has made like 2 appearances.
Okay.
Let's see here. The only ability I have noted from him right now is that he can summon Ammit. I guess you want to take a look at some of the artwork where they show Anubis here?
Yeah.
Just since we...
Oh.
Yeah, there's the full artwork piece.
Cute. Precious. 10 out of 10 would adopt from a shelter.
So Anubis can summon...
summons Ammit.
Yeah.
A divine beast.
Yeah. It's not necessarily the Ammit, but their beasts
it's
called
an Ammit.
Yeah. we don't necessarily find out from the Requiem version, but apparently there can be more than one of them at once.
Oh, because it says servant Anubis can summon at least 2 Ammit.
Yeah.
Okay, in Requiem.
Yeah. And we actually have a more detailed artwork. We'll get another look at this later. This is a craft essence, technically.
Cute.
But
wait,
yeah.
Go back down. There's an Ammit inside Ramesseum Tetris.
Yep. Okay. So, but now I guess we need to get on to why we needed to do this in the first place.
So the new Nitocris. The new
Yes.
Nitocris. Okay. I'm not going back over the Nitocris history because this is the same episode. Yay!
Yeah. Rewind.
Rewind.
So I guess I'm just going to click us right into Nitocris. Meet Nitocris Alter, the Avenger Servant.
Oh.
Get a good look at her design. That's just regular Nitocris.
Fam, you had one job.
I wasn't looking properly.
You had one job.
Wrong Nitocris.
You had one
Does she
job.
not have a Fate Grand Order wiki page yet?
It looks like she does not. Just the Type Moon wiki.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go to the Game Press page. This is abnormal for us, but I can get all the card arts here.
Ooh, look at her. She kind of looks you gotta, okay.
We have all 4 cards. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, look, the scales of Ma'at with the feather and the heart. The feather of Ma'at and the heart of the person.
And this is her big, more elaborate card.
Yeah. Go back to 1 or 2. 2.
2?
Yeah.
Got Anubis in the background here.
Did you notice something cool here? She's half mummified. Look at her arms.
You're right.
Yeah. Mummy bindings all over her body, but then she herself is also mummified at the hands. Which is pretty fucking cool. Also, she's got a scarab on her plate, and scarabs have also an ankh. Which is kind of contradictory, the fact that she's got an ankh hanging off there, because that's a symbol of life and, protection.
I think regular Nitocris has
She
an
does.
ankh, too,
She's got a little ankh.
That's
so
Nitocris
makes
more than
sense.
Anubis here.
Yeah. The jackal ears make sense. And the big jackal boy. He's such a good boy. Look at that good boy.
Yeah, but you'll remember regular Nitocris also had a bit of an Anubis look going to her.
Yeah, which I liked.
Yeah. So
I think I commented that she had jackal-like ears.
Yep, you commented on Anubis back then, and little did I know. So I think I freaked out at you about this, that you were the one that cursed this. When we were doing the regular episode, I think you mentioned that you thought Nitocris could make a good Avenger.
Oh shit! Yeah, I did. Oh, speaking of, I have not expressed myself appropriately upon seeing this. Mommy, I'm sorry, Mommy. That's a hot woman.
So the first online commentary I saw about Nitocris Alter.
What?
It was just a Fate fan that just wrote, "I kneel."
I would too. At the altar, at her feet, wherever she tells me to. Look at that woman. 10 out of 10.
What's interesting is none of the artworks really go full fan service with her either.
Oh! Regular Nitocris doesn't have an ankh at her neck. She has the Wadjet, the eye.
Ah.
And look, the eye is at the bottom of her dress.
You're right.
Same eye. But the ankh then is a little bit idiosyncratic if she's associated with Anubis and the dead. But ankhs were also often... ankh amulets were placed inside mummy wrappings as symbols of good luck, so I can see it.
So as far as what's going on here, I guess you can get a more standalone look at that.
Can I see stage 3 again?
Want to get the full artwork?
Yeah. I didn't take a super good look at it.
Well, that's stage 4.
Yeah.
Stage
4 looks good, but...
Stage 3.
Okay, I was just kind of looking. She's got a little bit of an evolved look going on. Yeah.
I wish I can pull up her sprites, but I can't. Maybe something for the updates video.
Yeah. Already adding to the updates on the servant.
So, as far as what's going on here, at the time that we're recording this, Lost Belt 7 Part 2 has only just come out where Nitocris is introduced, or Nitocris Alter is introduced, and I don't know too much about what's going on there.
But she's an Avenger.
Yes, all I know is, and these are light spoilers for LB7, a bunch of servants get kidnapped and made into altar forms. Nitocris,
Okay.
and this is why I didn't originally think this was going to happen, because I knew this going into the first episode. Nitocris was not initially one of them. And then this gets released, and I have no idea what led to her being altered in that chapter. But we have her now, and she is fully merged with Anubis here. Like, this is I think she switches in and out of just being Anubis.
I think I saw a comment back on the either the Anubis or the Ammit type moon.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the Anubis one that said that because of the fusion, Nitocris's personality, like, over time takes on more and more of Anubis's until eventually she is just Anubis in mind and spirit, if not in body.
That would make
fully.
sense.
Yeah.
But regardless of the reason, regardless of what's going on here, Knick-Knack wants to go cry in a corner.
I don't. I'm enjoying this. More Nitocris. Me and my Egyptians.
So what's funny about her as an Avenger, and I did see this little comment here. Nitocris alter as an Avenger is the least vengeful feeling Avenger out there. She does not actually have that sense of vengeance, which is odd for being in the Avenger class. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
there.
also because she would make a good Avenger. She has reason to be an Avenger. We went over this extensively.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe it's more of an Anubis thing here.
I mean, so here's the thing, right? Anubis himself is not a vengeful god, right? Anubis is a protector and a guider, but he is not a vengeful god. Ammit is ever hungry, and Ammit will chase down those who have bad
I guess
souls.
maybe
but
we're getting into speculation territory here.
Yeah.
I guess maybe the fact that Anubis is not vengeful, but he still has to do the weighing of the souls, which is a process, like sort of ingrained in, like, the idea of a justice decision. So maybe in that regard, Anubis became an Avenger because still seeking, just say, vengeance for decisions in life, but not in a way, but not with personal investment.
maybe. It still feels like any sort of vengefulness would be more associated with Ammit.
Yeah, and
Ammit's inclusion into this.
But that would make sense with Nitocris not having a sense of vengeance here, not an overt one at least.
Yeah, because it's more of a sense of justice then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I got skill names. I don't necessarily, unless they've changed it, I don't have skill descriptions for the most part.
Class skills.
I have them now.
Okay, so there's some stuff here. Mad Enhancement, Avenger, Oblivion. Okay, so Funeral Records, yeah. Arbitration of the Netherworld God. So that's the Judge of the Dead, right? A portion of the underworld god Anubis' authority made into a skill. According to the Book of Dead, he measures the hearts of the dead and arbitrates based on their deeds in life. Yeah. So that's the weighing of the heart against the feather. Wind of the Desert Night, variation, Imperial Privilege. Okay. Alright. Rules the domain of the night. Sacred hieroglyphs appear around her. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, I remember the caster's NP, the Anpu Nebta Jesser. And then altars is Neferu Suen Anubis.
Yep, I'll click in here and see if it gives us a description here. I will obscure the video a little bit.
Yeah. So it's a new giant spirit of Anubis to bring the merciless arbitration and judgment upon the world. Sacred hieroglyphics, the same as the ones that appear when using her Wind of the Desert. Perhaps the protection of the long line of pharaohs from the 6th dynasty of ancient Egypt, which Nitocris was the last pharaoh in the 6th dynasty of ancient Egypt, who wished to protect the entirety of Nitocris' soul from being consumed by the might of Anubis and his netherworld.
Okay. So I guess we do, since this is a full FGO servant, we do have a noble phantasm. I'll get a little...
Oh, we get to see the sprite, yeah. Oh! She riding the pupper! The good pupper! You know what it feels like? It feels like Carmilla, but better. Summer Carmilla, but better. That's right, mommy. Hit him. Nephthys. That's his mother, or his consort, depending on the story. Or both. It's not unheard of. Yes, mummify and burn. Yeah, Nephthys.
And skip over to the... Oh, that's new.
No, it's not. It's always been there. You just ignore it every time.
I think there are differences stage 3. They switched it
Okay.
for stage 2 and 3, so we'll take a look here.
Were you...
Oh!
Oh, there's the Ammit and the
Yeah.
stage 3. Nile. Did she just say Ramesses?
Possibly.
No. Something else. I
Oh,
can't tell.
that was Nitocris's NP right there.
Yeah. Oh, it mentioned that in
Yeah.
the Type Moon. It said that she would just use Nitocris's NP sometimes. Horus. Oh, the flooding of the Nile, like Nitocris flooded the room full of... I'm stupid.
All right.
So you want to show me the original NP?
Yeah, we'll check them
Yeah.
both out, see if there's a difference here.
She went all gold bikini. Ooh, look at that. Ooh. Oh, it's a record of the dead. The hieroglyphics around her, they're not just random hieroglyphics because they're all inside of cartouches. That means that they're all names. So that's specifically a record of names. You don't put words inside cartouches. You put names to simplify that they are names. Typically royal ones, because those are the ones recorded. If I had enough time, I could pull out a notebook and compare it to my... Oh, look at the Sphinxes.
So same thing there, but
Yeah,
you gotta
same
look
thing.
at it.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
a good looking NP.
The literal third newest servant now.
Yeah. It's a good looking NP. She's a good looking servant.
Yeah, I thought you'd like her.
I do. We do not have any card arts,
We can go back to Ammit here.
do we?
Bond CE.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay. Besides a Bond CE.
Yeah, no. Valentine's hasn't even come around yet, so we don't even have a Valentine's
So you
yet.
do get to show me the Bond CE. Is there any actual writing on it, or has that not been...
It's not
Oh,
been
it doesn't
translated.
have the... We don't have the other one. Okay.
Yeah. It would have writing, but it hasn't been translated yet, so...
Wait, close that for a second. Isn't it? Give me the mouse. I see something. See, this says it's translated. No? Oh, okay, so they've just translated what it does. Okay, I was hoping that... Because it says translated, so I was hoping
What happens
that
if
maybe...
you click that link?
Oh,
Look at that. Translations for shit.
okay. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Interesting. Neferu Swen Anubis. Alright, so Bond Craft Essence. A divine beast, Ammit, a divine beast of ancient Egypt. Nitocris summons and commands it during combat. Okay, so. Contractor, would you convey the following to Pharaoh Ozymandias? My Ammit is different from the gigantic unit he has stored within Ramesseum Tetris. Goodness, it would be such a bother if anyone were to get the wrong idea. What? I should tell him directly myself? Listen to me here, my contractor. I'm a little busy. Just a little, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm busy. I don't have the time to be dealing with such paltry matters. There, now do make sure you convey my message. I'm counting on you. I really am, okay?
That actually reminded me of something I almost forgot here.
Yeah, because I remember that regular Nitocris has the thing with Ozzy.
This
Love me
Nitocris
an Ozzy.
tries to take on a more big sisterly relationship with Ozzy as opposed to being his little follower.
Aww. That's adorable.
I don't know how Ozzy reacts to that yet.
I would be excited to see.
Oh, this is the form that we get all of our Case Files translations from.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Hell yeah.
So yeah. Now I guess we just have the CEs at this point.
Yeah, card arts.
Well, let's go down here, see if Nitocris is pretty popular, so there might be some extra stuff down here to take a look at.
Oh, there's her
these are
wasp
some of the ways
scepter.
she attacks here.
Yeah.
You didn't see it too much, but
Yeah.
you have the
Scarab, the bird, mummy, and the wasp scepter. Interesting. Surprised they didn't do the Wadjet.
Looks like she has.
She does. She's also got. She has one of the sitting ramen figures, and she also has a Nendroid.
Let's look into this. This looks like some more detail. Oh,
Remember, you can't click into them from there. You got to go from the craft essences. Because that's gonna be that's her craft essence. See. So open them up. I am excited. You know what the best part is? I've already seen Ozymandias, so I can just revel in my Egyptian babies.
all right. Let's take a look through all these. So this is her Bond CE.
Yep, that's Anubis, and actually in the background that is some of the Book of the Dead inscribed into the wall. I can tell. So yes, that's right. When I became a puppet pharaoh at the hands of those in power, my throne was filled and stained with blood. Never forgot the regrets of my brothers. I did not forgive the shining throne being toyed with by the commoners. Yeah. It seems I'm a girl with a short temper. I'll get mad at my ally, you, very quickly. Perhaps it's because of my actions in life. Please forgive me. I mean, you shall forgive me.
This is the Valentine's.
Oh, the Wadjet with little chocolate pyramids. What will you do? 1, speak to the Medjed. 2, fight the Medjed. 3, complain to Nitocris that it's hard to eat without watching. I'd pick 1. I'd speak to the Medjed.
3.
Oh, this is the idol, heroic spirit. Oh no, this is just formal dress?
Yep, this is one of the anniversary
Okay.
CEs.
Yeah. I always like the anniversary CEs. It's fun.
Just different potential outfits you could put them in.
Yeah, this is cute. I like it. Pharaoh Chocolatl.
Chocolatl. I'm pretty sure that was during the Kets event. Yeah.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Oh wait, no, that wasn't. That's Valentine's.
No, well, yeah, but that's the cacao beans.
Yeah.
So, same
but not the Kets event. That's the Kets event's a Christmas event.
Yeah, but it is, it does related to. Let's see. Take a look at these dazzling sweets. How wonderful, how heartwarming. The greatness of Valentine's Day mirrors the greatness of the Pharaoh. And so, in the name of the Female Pharaohs Club, we have created a chocolate kingdom using our divine power. Please step in. We have even prepared new outfits. We'd like to hear your opinions on it.
Hey,
Oh,
Stepman.
okay. That makes sense. What?
The pharaohs didn't have cocoa, did they? Or did they?
Cacao is a New World product.
Yeah.
The Pharaoh's Great Winter Thanksgiving Festival. Look, there's Ozzy! And by the context clues, I would assume I know exactly who the female with the green hair is.
Maybe.
In both of these images. Because
Maybe.
Female Pharaohs Club and Pharaoh event. But I will not look further into that at this time. Ozymandias and company hold a festival, the throne of the Ramesseum Tetris. Remember that. All Night Fever.
I don't think that's
She's
actually
there. I
Nitocris.
see her.
Where is she?
She's in the background right there. That's her.
Enhance.
That's her.
Ah, I see her.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm enhancing back to the
Jesus
original.
fucking Christ.
Okay. Did you want to read this one, or do you want to go and skip because she's not?
Nah,
the
it's someone
prominent figure?
else's. This is. I remember this one.
This is the
Escape from the
Japanese
Pyramid.
only escape room. You've read
I'm
this about
so
in the DS,
mad
I think.
about this. I'm so mad I don't get to do this. Close it. I'm disappointed. Heroic Spirit. So this is the one we saw before. The travel journal, Nitocris. Dawn is breaking. We shall walk with the great Medjeds under the same sky in this our world. I remember the under the same sky in this our world. I like the outfit. It's really cute. It's like modern, sort of, outfit, but, still all the little colors and bits and silhouetting. I'm a fan. Also, there's a little Medjed in her hair. Prayer toward the night sky. She's on the left. Is that Mash in the middle?
Yeah. I don't
know who that is.
Close your eyes. Yeah, you don't know that servant.
Okay. Yeah, so nothing about them, though. Cool. Perfect New Year. There she is.
This is the April Fool's art style for everyone.
Wait, click into this.
The art?
Yeah, click it. Did you read her t-shirt? Read her t-shirt!
Oh my.
That's an eggplant! That's an eggplant, knick-knack! That's an eggplant!
If it makes you feel any better, besides the obvious implication, there's also, she calls Mash her little eggplant.
Oh, okay. Ooh!
Another little costume.
Yeah, click it. Oh, yeah, cute. Oh, this is from the one where they were setting, like, the drawing against more realistic drawings of a location. We've seen these in a few others, because that's a realistic drawing of the red pyramid behind it. And then the little Medjeds in her. It's so cute. There's like an army of little Medjeds. I really want to see her... I hate the Minions. I really want to see her with an army of Medjeds a la the Minions. You know what I mean? Just like a ton of them.
Don't look up, Medjed.
What?
That one in the middle. Don't look up.
Oh. Yeah, that Medjed looks up. He gets a straight.
Oh, yeah, okay. Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay.
So you've got summer CEs for me now.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't expect there to be very many. I assume her summer form is newer.
Not that much newer, actually. Only like... No, they're both pretty decently old servants at this point.
Oh, so cute. There's her little compact. Oh, yes. There's a Medjed with expressions. That one's got it's the Las Vegas tie one.
It's got a bow tie.
It's got a bow tie. How very dapper. Oh, she's so cute.
Can I click into this picture? Yes. So this is her car, because she was a racer in this event.
We talked about this before, I think. Yeah.
That's from her... No, wait.
That's appearing in someone else's NP. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got this illustration, which I think is just...
It's cute. Little drawings on this. Yeah, it's cute. Just two.
Yeah. Just the Valentines and the Bond. They all go to normal Nitocris.
A gift from Ra. Oh, look, it's her little racer with a pyramid on top of it on the sideboard and her little wakeboard. The great pharaoh Ozymandias has shouted out to me during this race. I just realized those were words of encouragement and cheers. As proof, please take a look. No, you must look. Look at all the little details. It's basically the scarab that I used during the race, but take a good look. It says Ramessium Tentris. This can only mean one thing. Don't make me spell it out, but I will. I have received a reward! That's so cute.
Get a good, closer look at that.
Oh, yeah, look at it. It's adorable. With the little Ramessium Tetris. Yeah.
Is that a Medjed tombstone?
No, that's her little wakeboard, I think.
Oh.
Because it had the Medjed face on her little wakeboard thing. Yeah.
All right, and then we have the Valentines.
It's little Medjeds. Little Medjed are standing on top of the plate. Since they're labeled chocolate, they must be chocolates, but no matter how you look at them, they just look like Medjed. And bigger Medjed are peering at the plate. I hope you enjoy them. Canonically, I'm going to imagine that they're made of white chocolate. Because, Medjeds. And that's the flower from the side of her swimsuit in her last art. Sitting beside them. And her belt, like the gold coins attached. Yeah.
So yeah, that is Nitocris. Go ahead and scroll back here. What's your any thoughts?
Look, we stand Nitocris. I like Nitocris. I'm not surprised that they lean so heavily into the one single story we have of her. But I do appreciate the map that they managed to make out of it. I think they made a lot out of a little without just doing what they did with Attila and making it up as they went. So I like it.
Okay, but what hurt with Attila was that there was a lot to go off of, and they still did that.
That's true. I fully intend to collect some of her figures because I know she's got a few. I definitely want to get the sitting one that matches my sitting Ramses, because there is one of hers where she's like sitting, same sort of pose. And if I can get the little Nendroid to go with my Nendroid, I will. Figure it the fuck out, Knick Knack, and quick.
Okay, so, I hope you like MILFs, guys.